Hello, everyone on this Friday. Should we call it Earthquake Friday? I don't know. Is it too soon? Nobody got hurt, right? Everybody's okay. Don't want to be inappropriate, but yeah, as as Paul says, sorry about the earthquake. I just dropped my rule book for running a successful wedding. Everyone's talking about the earthquake that was around New Jersey or something like that. I didn't feel it up here. I don't know if Maine felt it. I don't know how far it got in the surrounding states, but wow, this is the breaking news. So I'm competing with that today. Glad so many of you could be here. Hope it wasn't any more than an interesting little rattle for most people. I've been in a couple of earthquakes in my life. It's very strange. One time when I was a child, I woke up in the morning and said to my family, like, wasn't it crazy last night? Didn't you wake? Wasn't that insane? The crazy? What happened in the night? And they all looked at me like, Mark, you were dreaming. You're crazy. That didn't happen. Then we turned on the radio, and thankfully, I was vindicated. There was an earthquake. I mean, I woke up that night. I woke up to a roar. It was a roaring sound, and this is in the Ottawa area, not that often. And then the kitchens, it sounded like somebody was shaking all the dishes, plates, and cutlery in the kitchen. And that's what I remember. And then the roar went away. It was like a passing train. And and I woke up in the morning and my whole family had slept through it. Good thing we had the radio, because the radio said, yes, there was. And they all looked at me like, wow, okay, you're not crazy. That was a relief to everybody. And you, if you've been live with me, you can attest to whether or not that's true. So glad you're here. It is Friday. Let's see. Anybody talking about the earthquake? Oh, Jane says there was an earthquake. So you didn't feel it as well in North Carolina, I guess. If that's where you are, Jane, you've been hopping around a little bit. But yes, everybody's talking about how New York City, New Jersey, the surrounding states, there was a bit of a rattle. And Mark is like, yeah, whatever, you guys. We are earthquakes out here. So hey, on the East Coast, it's a big deal when the earth shakes a little bit. But hello, Mark in Earthquake Central. Glad you were here. Kara Maranatha says, no one heard here, but my house shook. So you felt it. I'm glad I'm not at work, so I'll be here for the whole stream. Amazing. Well, the whole stream is not going to be too long, right? Right? Today's an easy question. I should say welcome to what is this? It's not Wedding Hero Wednesday. That's another thing. Today is Friday Live Question of the Week. I get asked this question a heck of a lot. How do I give an officiant speech, Mark? How do I give a speech? Now, usually my how do I give an officiant speech is your speech is in 3 parts, okay? And the 3 parts I teach in Unboring Wedding Academy. I'll tell you what they are today. But what if your couple shoots down one of the 3 parts? And so this is a hint about what the 3 parts are. What if your couple say, we don't want you to tell our love story? That can happen for a variety of reasons. We'll get into it. But that does happen, especially to occasionally professionals who are doing this a lot. You get the odd couple who says, please don't tell our love story. And then it's like, well, Mark, you teach us in Unboring Wedding Academy that the North Star, the main event of your officiant speech is the love story, to which I would say that is a massive component of bringing the house down, making a memorable ceremony, and having everybody absolutely love it and say you were the best ever. It's not just that, though, thankfully. But in terms of a 3-part speech, that's a huge chunk missing. What do I do? So again, I answer this so often, not too often, thankfully, because I consider it kind of getting a bit, like your hands tied behind your back by your couple if you can't tell your love story. But you'll hear me say this a million times, we work for our couple in the sense of the couple is the boss. We facilitate their dream and their vision. That said, you can be selective. So I want to preface everything I say here today with, this might just mean I lose immediately half the viewers right now, because I really believe that you should teach what you know and teach what you do. Friends, I have never officiated a wedding that I can think of where I have not told the couple's story. Okay? Anybody still here, or did you all just sign off? Why should we listen to this guy if he's never been put in this situation? Well, anytime a couple says to me, we don't have a story worth telling, or I don't really want our story told, the first step I would say, and we haven't even gotten into the meat of what I'm going to advise here, but the first step I would say is to push back a little bit. A lot of couples don't feel good enough, or that their story will be interesting enough, or that it's unboring enough. To which I tell them, I guarantee you, no matter what you think about your story, the three parts of that story, how you met, your first impressions, oh, yeah, but we were kids. It's not that interesting. No, that's interesting. Going from childhood friends to like an awakening of, wait, there's more to this person, et cetera, to the first date, that slow love story coming together. And then the proposal, even if it was straight up the middle. I don't know. I asked her and she said yes. That is the capper on a beautiful arc of how you arrived here today, and everybody wants to hear it. So sometimes I have to convince the couple. It does not have to be a Shakespearean, I was going to say tragedy. hopefully, if they're standing there at the wedding, it would be a comedy, right? All the Shakespeare comedy in Elizabethan England typically meant it ended in a wedding. So that's the great thing, is when we give a wedding ceremony, when we officiate a wedding, we are literally in an Elizabethan comedy, because Shakespeare, knew, for better or for worse, or true or false, or whatever it is, that when it ends with that successful romantic moire, the wedding is like the slam dunk, not the nail in the coffin, whatever the happy equivalent of that would be, the final punctuation. We know that there's a lot more. There's a whole like marriage to do after the wedding, but it is literally a comedy, the opposite of a tragedy. When there's a wedding, which means when you get all those guests there and the couple there, people want to hear that comedic art. And I don't mean in ha ha ha. I just mean that satisfactory, happy ending. So everything I say today, I'm going to preface with, let's assume you have gently pushed back on your couple if they say, we don't want you to tell our love story. Don't just take that lying down. It might be because they don't think they're interesting enough. They don't think it's funny enough. They don't think they have the answer. Sometimes they don't even know the three questions you're going to ask. That's another thing too. A lot of officiants just, I don't know, give their couple a blank sheet of paper or say in an email, tell me how you got together. That is too arduous for a couple, for them to think about. And when I started with an officiating company, their questionnaire was very generic. And I've talked about this before, but I started realizing the real magic when people were listening after I did this again and again. The audience, the guests leaned in a little closer when I was talking about how they met and their first impressions, and how the first date or dates, how that kind of stumbling forward into love happened. And then the proposal. Everybody loved the proposal, even though we clearly know how it ends. That doesn't matter, because people want to hear how it unfolded. So you're going to ask your question 3 specific questions. They will be surprised at how well they can answer them. And then you can craft a beautiful love story. Let's say that you explained all that and your couple says, please no. And sometimes it's because couples, the circumstances under which they got together are a bit dicey. Not everyone's so happy about it. Maybe somebody was coming out of another marriage or something. When they met, it was a coworker and there was some muddy overlap that people don't like to talk about. I get that. And so another caveat will be, okay, I'm not bound to the first impressions, because again, what if this happened when they were both married or something? And whatever you think about that, this happens. And a lot of couples will say, don't talk about how we were, starting to get attracted to each other when we were both already married or something. That's not, you can say, okay, I'll steer clear of that. And even the first dates, if it's not a pleasant memory to discuss or talk about, or nobody in the room wants to think about it, the proposal is typically when you're in the clear. And so sometimes I advise, or I've done it myself, where, you just focus on the proposal. We are here today because 1 year ago in June, Doug decided to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the proposal story can spin out. You can really milk it for 4 to 5 minutes. everyone will be absolutely delighted at that level of personalization. And just again, how things unfold. We don't listen to love stories at weddings wondering what's going to happen because they're standing there. We know how it works out. So that is a huge piece of what we're talking about today. The presupposition, again, is that you have done this. You've tried to talk your couple into it. They've said, no, no, no. And you've said, no, no, well, I can just, are you uncomfortable with one of the, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Well, that's interesting. But we don't want to talk about how we got together. Okay, let's focus on the last of the 3 questions then. Oh, okay, I can see. Okay. And so you want to try to tell something. Now, I've done another Friday Live that was about what happens when it's just an elopement and you're not kind of playing to a crowd. You're not telling the love story of these 2 people to the guests. That's another thing. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but you are addressing the love story to the guests. They. You're not talking to the couple during a wedding ceremony, except when you go to the vows and the rings part. Now, in an elopement, there might just be 2 of them. There might be just a couple of witnesses, maybe the photographer. So it'd be weird to talk over the heads or around the heads of the 2 people getting married to their one witness or to the photographer. They this, they that. That would be really bizarre. Don't do that. In a small elopement setting, or like a signing where there's a ceremony, very intimate, just a couple people, you want to talk to the couple. Now, at this point, I do want to give a shout out to a couple of Unboring Wedding Academy members who I just esteem the Unboring Wedding community so much. Whether or not you have done a wedding, a lot of people join the Academy. They're only doing a one-off. They've never done one before, but they do get in touch with me because I shoot a personal bonjour to every member. And they tell me, I'm just doing a one-off. I'm really worried. Hey, I love that you are taking this seriously and you want to tell the love story and you want to be the very best officiant anyone's ever seen. We also have people who've been inside this this membership for years. And so Commissioner Lori Becker in Alberta is one of those. Shout out to her. And Reverend Claudia out in Ontario, Erie Views. She's on here a lot. They both have had great ideas. Claudia emailed me last night when I sent this to my email list that I'm going to go live today. She had a couple of great ideas. So I want to tell you what they do when it's a really small setting. Again, when you don't want to tell the love story necessarily, or your couple has not given you a questionnaire or something like that. So one thing that Lori Becker does, and I think she said this on a live, and I absolutely loved it, and I never forgot it. It was just a couple weeks ago, so not that long ago to remember. But she says, if it's a really quick, as a marriage commissioner, she gets put in all sorts of wedding situations. She asks the couple on the spot. She's standing there with the 2 of them. There's no guests. She'll ask them right on the spot, how did you meet, by the way? And they'll talk to Lori in the ceremony. And so she'll ask those questions. How did you meet? What was that first date like? Tell me the proposal. She'll have them tell their story kind of to her and to each other right there in their little intimate ceremony. That is chef's kiss genius. The couple will remember this. Remember, my wife, I'm married to a trained marriage and family therapist, couples counselor. She told me one time, and I was shocked. After all her schooling and experience, she said, did you know that it's a critical, crucial step in the playbook when you're doing couples counseling to ask a couple that are not doing well together necessarily, maybe they're on the rocks, ask them how they got together. And the strategy behind that is to remind them why they fell in love, what they love about the other person, and it unlocks a whole bunch of things. Now, for a couple that's not doing so well, how much more rich and useful and beneficial is that for a couple getting married on that incredibly happy day to remind them of why they're in love and their journey that has taken them up to this point? I absolutely love that. So, Lori Becker, that's such an amazing idea. And then Reverend Claudia emailed me last night, and she said, even if a couple tells me right off the bat, hey, this is a quickie, we don't want you to tell our love story, she said, I ask them to send me a list of 10 things they love about the other person. And get this, I told Reverend Claudia, I'm going to share this. I told she's not able to be here today. That's what she said. But if your ears are ringing, then then you'll know why I'm talking about you. You'll know that I'm talking about you. That's why your ears are ringing. She says she sends them that list, and if they do not tell her 10 things that each of them loves about the person they're getting married to, she will not officiate the wedding. I was like, okay, that is somebody who knows what they are about and has, a boundary, a standard. I love that. And I just want to remind you, this is why, first of all, what I'm stepping all over myself because I'm so excited about this. This is what I want to remind you. You are able to set expectations like that, standards like that, limits like that. As a professional wedding officiant, you can say, I want to work with this person. This person is not quite right for me. This is why that's what I was about to say, have never officiated a wedding where I don't tell the love story. Because, hey, surprise, surprise, if you go to unboringwedding.com and my officiating section of that website, I am unequivocal about I tell your love story. And if you don't want that in your wedding ceremony, I'm not your guy. And when I do a chemistry check with a couple, vibe check, before I book with them, before I take any money from them, before I put their names on my calendar, I want to explain to them, I love telling your story. I'm going to tell your love story to your guests. Oh, it's just a little elopement, Mark. I don't do those anymore. But years ago, I would say, oh, I still want to tell your love story to you in your ceremony. I want to have that moment with you. I want to remind you of how you got here. And you're not going to look at each other's answers. So it'll be fun for you to hear what the other person says about each other. That's a thing that's really fun. I've been married for 19 years this December. And frankly, I kind of would love to hear my wife, Naomi's version of what happened 20 years ago, 22 years ago. That would be a lot of fun. So I'm not going to say, oh, I already know, I was there. I would really be interested in how she spins how we got together and the really problematic person I was back then. So that is all the things you bring with the love story. Okay, let me see now. I got a bit derailed by myself. I didn't follow the tradition of saying hello to everybody. Retta is here. We are about to get into the three components and what I recommend when your couple don't want your love story. What do you do then? Okay, so I've said all that to say your couple still doesn't want the love story. This is where I would say you're not for me, and I would head to the exit. I'd say there's another officiant out there for you, but it's not for me. But let's assume you are open to that. A lot of folks in the Unboring Wedding community are. Professional officiants, they don't want to turn down, a couple that wants them to officiate, and so they will accommodate. What do they do? Stay tuned. I'll let you know. Thanks for Sabrina cheerleading here. Go ahead and mash that like button. I do love that. That's amazing. Help other people find me on the YouTube. Bill is saying it's 30 degrees. Oh, 30 degrees Fahrenheit. See, I'm in Celsius. I was like, how is that possible? Yeah, there is a nasty chunk of snow on the ground outside. It'll be melted by Monday. And I can't wait to have my face melted off on Monday by the eclipse. Not literally, I'm going to wear glasses. But we are driving 1 hour north right into the path of 100% coverage, just north of Fredericton. We're so fortunate that the 100% path of eclipse coverage goes right over New Brunswick. Where I live, it's 98%. Not good enough. 98% is not good enough. It's got to be 100. So looking forward to that. And the weather hopefully is nice. Mike says, what a difference in weather. Yeah, today's beautiful, good. And here you are. Hopefully you're, outside enjoying the sun with me in your ear. Mark is here. Good to see you. Ralph and Karen. Ruth is here from Kelowna. Doris is here. Yep, she experienced the earthquake right there in Jersey. Good, not much damage. 4.8 magnitude. I wasn't sure about the number, so there it is. 4.8 where she was. LMC is here. Good to see you, Lisa. Ernest from damp southeastern Connecticut. Super damp here too as well. In fact, I have a crushing headache, but my wife took the peppermint oil to work, so I had to pop a Tylenol. That's what happens when it's all moist and mildewy like that outside to me. Mitzi, haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you here. You had a wonderful trip visiting some of your cousins and their father, Uncle Herman, who have relocated to Colorado. Wow. Well, hopefully that all went well, and good to see you here. Richard from Cambridge, Ontario. Ben is here from North Dakota. Good to see you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're back to Jane. Was there an earthquake? I'm sure you know there was now. Tamara's here from Illinois. So many awesome members of Unboring Wedding here. Good to see you. Jillian is here. You were a bit late to the party on Wednesday, but you did make it. Jillian's in Ottawa. I know that. Brenda in Vegas. Awesome. Ava, hola. Good to see you too. Gary in Central Ohio. Okay, my goodness, that's amazing. Jane, you're killing me. There was an earthquake, question mark, question mark. Now there's an eclipse. Once in a lifetime, total solar eclipse on Monday. It is going to go dark. We will never see this again, likely. So I'm super excited for that. And we are making a whole day. Schools are letting out early, etc., etc. It's going to be a thing. Forever incredible. Good to see you, Carla. Chilly in Chicago, no doubt. yeah, Sabrina's pretty sure Jane is joking as well. Adrian's here from St. Petersburg. Awesome. Okay, here's what you do. Your officiant speech, as I talk about in my training and from the rooftops. Okay, I'm sorry. Don't watch the news. Sorry. I think I'm laughing, Jane, at the idea. It's probably not 100% coverage where you are in North Carolina, but it's going to be pretty dang close. So I'm laughing thinking about you not knowing there's an eclipse on Monday, and then everything goes dark at I think it's 2:30 Eastern time. So yeah, I think I'm having I'm having a little fun hypothetical foreshadowing about that. That's a pun. That's a foreshadowing. There's a dad joke there somewhere. Mitzi, I bought my glasses too. I'm pretty excited. 3 parts to your officiant speech. Anytime you do a wedding, the first is the love story. Like I say, that is going to be absolutely the showstopper, and I've just talked about that. The second is the love about section. Okay, so a lot of people have just asked. I've gotten emails, Mark. I hear you talk about the love about section all the time, just on your YouTube live, just rants. You just kind of say the love about section, you move on. Okay, I'll unpack that for you. And then the third section is some sort of reflection. Okay, that's where you talk about what is meaningful about what is going on here. That's going to be different for everybody. I don't like to be too prescriptive about that. But you have your love story, your love about section, and your reflection. So that's why I was saying if your couple says, we don't want the love story, they have ripped out essentially the lion's share of your 3-part speech. Now, the love about section is also incredibly potent. So everybody who's inside Unboring Wedding Academy knows the course takes them systematically through how to craft that, the questions to ask, how to write it so it's no fail and guaranteed. So when you tell the love story using my 8-point rubric or the love story caster, then you move from that to the love about section. These are a couple of extra questions you ask your couple. Okay, so 3 questions you ask your couple for their story. Tell me about how your first impressions and how you met, your first date, and the proposal. The last couple of questions are essentially the same. What do you love about this person? And then the second question I ask them is, why are you getting married? And I've talked about this before, but if you haven't heard me say it, the reason why I do that, for some reason I learned that a lot of couples who are short-winded, maybe one of the marriers is not that long-winded. They'll just, what do you love about this person? They'll give me 2 lines. Why are you marrying them? They'll gush for like a paragraph. Or vice versa. What do you love about them? So many things. Why are you marrying them? A couple of lines. Okay, and sometimes it's gush, sometimes it's very little. But it seems like those questions, what do you love about each other, and then why are you getting married? Essentially, it's like almost 2 ways of asking the same question, but it seems to pump different areas of the brain, and I do get better, more well-rounded answers when I ask both of those. So that's the first part of the love about section. The love about section of your speech is comprised of 2 parts, okay? So again, if you're following along, you've got your love story, love about section, and then reflection. The love about section has 2 parts. It's what the couple love about each other. So they're going to answer those survey questions and say, I love this about my fiance. I love that. They're so sweet. They're the kindest, most generous. They're my rock. They're my lighthouse. When life was at its toughest, there was one person there and it's them. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with them, etc., etc. You get all kinds. Why are you getting married? Because I can't imagine who else I'd spend the rest of my life with. All that good stuff. So you get those answers from each of them. And again, you tell your couple, don't look at each other's answers. This is part of the gold on the wedding day when you're giving your speech. They're going to hear these things about each other for the first time. So I just want to say there that you have those components. Even if they say no love story, you got those components. Now, the other question I ask my couple is, each of you give me 2 or 3 email addresses, 4 or 5, of friends and family who you know would say amazing things about you two as a couple. This is part 2 of the love about section. The first part of the love about section I just had, so rounding up, is what they love about each other, the couple. The second part of the love about section is what other people, the people who are most important to your couple, whose email addresses they give to you, what they love about the couple. And that is always the icing on the cake, or the sprinkles on top of the icing on top of the cake, or however you want to say it. Because when you tell the love story, then what the couple love about each other, then what everybody else loves about these two, it's usually not a dry eye in the place. It is absolutely beautiful, especially when you've kind of prepped people. You've told an amazing love story. There's some laughter, there's some romance. Then what they love about each other is just so beautiful. Then what their community loves about the two of them. They're both so kind. They're both always willing to help. We love how they show respect for each other. They are so evidently in love. It fills the room every time they're together. It's just absolutely beautiful. So, if the love story is gone, you have that. You have what they love about each other and what their community, friends, and family love about them. So, that's always my answer. I always come on here. It's Officiant question of the week. Mark, how do you answer this question? I know our community would answer this maybe in other incredible ways. There's so many Unboring Wedding Academy and Unboring Wedding Pro members here who have gone off and made this their own, and I love that. This is how I would answer the question. And this is what I always advise. Make sure you ask your couple what they love about each other, and then still get those email addresses from that form that you can then track down the people that they choose and ask their community what they love about these two. Your couple will love hearing that, whether it's an elopement or whether those people are sitting in the seats. You read out what they love about the couple, and they will absolutely love it. So you can still have, out of those 3, love story, love about section, and reflection. Love story is gone, but you have that major developed love about section. Now, I just want to stop here because I do hear objections sometimes, or, yeah, Mark, but they're writing and reading their own vows. Doesn't that take away the love about section? When a couple tells me they're writing and reading their own vows, I still say, kind of like Reverend Claudia, I don't ask for 10 things necessarily, but I want a good, healthy, robust answer to what you love about each other. Here's why. Your vows, that allows your vows to be more vowy. That's the word I use. Because vows are not just what I love about you. And I tell my couple this in our wedding workshop 4 to 6 weeks before the day, when we go through what we're going through on Wedding Hero Wednesdays after the workshop, or during the vows section of that conversation. I advise them, say, we're writing and reading our own vows. I say, okay, I'm still going to ask what you love about each other. Give me some stuff. You can reserve some stuff if you don't want to repeat. However, if you do repeat and just say, the same, more or less a couple of the same things you told me that I will have just said to your guests, it just reiterates. You don't have to be original, and it doesn't steal your thunder. But what it does do is free up for the couple a chance to be, like I say, more vowy. Think more deeply about the promises. Vows are promises. They're not, vows don't mean I'm going to just make a list of all the things that I love about you. You're so hot. You make great coffee. You're a good driver. It's more than that. It's about and this is how I guide you're filling in the blanks on what you will do, what you commit to doing, what you're promising to each other, what you will always do, or what you will always aspire to do. I tell them, think about what kind of couple you want to be, and think of the kind of spouse you want to be to make that couple, the couple that you and your marrier are, your fiance are. What are you going to do uh, on a continuum to make that happen? And you can see the juices flowing, and they don't get trapped in the cycle of just, I love you, I really love you, you're so lovable, and you're awesome. uh, I say, the love about section is beautiful, gorgeous, gets the tears flowing. But the vows are really about what kind of spouse you want to be, aspire to be, for the kind of couple that the two of you want to be into your future together. And so there's a lot more time spent on that, I find, with my couples. They don't need that long runway of love, love, I love you, because you've already said that. Now I say preamble it with that. You mean the world to me. There's no one else I'd rather be with. Even if, again, even if as the officiant you've already said that, that's totally fine. And then they go into something you haven't touched. You haven't talked about the promises, specific promises and things they commit to, and that's for them to do. So that's where you only will have kind of an issue with that, maybe if they're reading their own vows. But of course, if they're repeating after you, or they're just saying I do to a vow type question, then there's no worry about that at all. So that covers off the second section of your speech, the love about section. Again, love story is gone, but you still got a lot. And then the third is the reflection, of course. So if you're a professional wedding officiant, you have the script that I send you in Unboring Wedding Academy if you're a member. I talk about what we're doing here today. What's the point of a wedding at all? And to me, the point of a wedding is the promises they're about to make. That's why I always segue from that into the vows as best as I can. If there's readings, I put them in there, but I do reference we are here today because of the promise and the commitment that Sam and Alex are about to make to each other. The commitment is profound, and we are here to witness and observe and celebrate how they want to stand here today and say to each other, I will be the person who's always here for you. I'm literally saying that off the top of my head because I've said it hundreds of times. Now, again, because as a professional wedding officiant, I don't know this couple as well. People don't want to hear from me. Their closest friends and family don't want to hear what I think about Sam and Alex, because I'm doing my thing, but I'm not intimately connected with this couple. We've met a few times, so people think we're friends. But what people really do want to hear from, of course, is what they love about each other. And if you are a friend or a relative, one off, many of you here joining today, watching, have never done a wedding. And if you are in that position, this is what I talk to about with Unboring Wedding Academy members who are like, look, I'm just the aunt. I'm just doing this once. Fine. But after you read the love about section of what everybody, you've emailed some people what they love about this couple, well, auntie, guess what? People want to hear what you have to say as well. So in your reflection, today is significant. You can use what I say. Today is significant because a wedding is ultimately, this ceremony is about this moment where they want to promise their lives to each other, their faithfulness to each other, their undying loyalty to each other for their whole lives. And then you can also talk about, as aunt or father of the bride, whatever. In fact, with parents of the couple, I usually say, if you're a parent officiating and you don't say anything about the couple, that'll raise some eyebrows. So it's almost more incumbent on a parent of marrier to say something about how happy you are that these two are getting married, how honored you are to have been chosen, how you love who this person has grown up to be and the person they've chosen. So it's, yeah, like I say, it's almost more of a responsibility if you are a parent. If you're an aunt or uncle, it's okay, or a friend, it's not necessarily so. But I would say include that in your speech. And then, so you're emphasizing what makes today so significant and how much you love this couple, what it means to you, what you've observed about them. The same question you've asked everybody else. What do you love about these two? What makes them so perfect together? Answer that as well and throw yourself on the list. And then you can say, and as for me, I, echo what has been said. It is so beautiful, etc., etc. I love, again, it'll be extremely meaningful. People will absolutely love it. So you got those three sections. They took away the story part, but you still have a very robust love about section and a reflection. And the reflection can include what you, friend and family officiant, think about the couple. If you're not a friend or relative officiating and you're kind of like me, then your reflection is about what makes today so significant. Focus on that. And the gravity of the ceremony will really strike people in the moment. Oh my gosh, this is major. We're not just here to party, dance, and eat a great meal. This is absolutely sacred. I use that language whether you're into God or not. There's something communally sacred about what is happening here. And when you talk about that, that gives you plenty. You've got at least 5 minutes to talk about. And frankly, without the story, nobody wants to hear from the officiant more than that. And you don't have, it spares you kind of the platitudes and the tired wedding advice and stuff like that. They can go to the self-help section of their local Barnes and Noble for that, or anybody else can. I don't want to be too cynical. If you want to do that, you can. But in terms of wedding guests, what they want meaningfulness. They want personality. They want things to be personal. And when you deliver on those specifics with the couple, the promise they're about to make, what you love about them, you cannot go wrong. That, my friends, is my very long answer. Do you see how that's a lot easier doing here than typing an email? My fingers are callous enough from my bass guitar practice. I don't need to continue to harden them with emails. That would have been a long email, but that's how it works. That's my answer. Again, I confess, I do not know what of that of which I teach right now because I always tell the love story and I ask couples who don't want their love story not to choose me. But I do know how significant the love about section and the reflection is. I hear from clients of Unboring Wedding Academy who their couple unfortunately has said, let's not tell our love story this time. Sometimes they just focus on the proposal, if it's, sticky wicket, how they met and stuff. And then, or they cut that out entirely and they just move into the love abouts, which is extremely meaningful, and the reflection about why we're here today. And again, those love abouts are about the couple, but also from people who love the couple most. So you cannot go wrong. Friends, is there anything that you want to ask me or comment on? I mean, here's Mitzi. She is she's an absolute amazing, experienced. Mark, what I love about this is the fact that you are bringing a therapeutic quality to your weddings and you're teaching us to do so also. Yes, well, that was an accident, like I say. Naomi told me, isn't this fascinating that you do what I do in couples therapy? I stumbled into that and I never forgot it. The weird thing is that it is entertaining because it's a story. We are so wired for story. We read books, TV shows, movies. We're consuming story all the time. We are story oriented as human beings. So the story is entertaining, just flat on its face. But then also, as Mitzi says, it is a therapeutic tool that has such depth. It makes them kind of plow the fallow ground of what was it like? Why are we together? How did we get together? And Mitzi says, I'll bet that when couples have this kind of wedding, their marriage is going to be stronger for this kind of experience. Yes, I think, and because story sticks harder than I just coached somebody this morning who said, I've been to a few weddings the last couple of years. I don't remember a word that was said. Maybe that's your experience. You'll remember a story of a couple. I went to a wedding last year. I don't remember anything that was said at all, but I do remember the brief 10-second anecdote that she touched on about when he proposed. He hid the ring in the snow and she thought it was some old piece of wood, the ring box, and she kicked it away. I mean, the place went hysterical. And I was like, if that was the punchline to a 5-minute narrative, that would have been amazing. I don't remember anything else, but I remember that moment, that picture, because it was told narratively. That's just how we're wired. There's nothing you can do about it. Plow, baby, plow. Should that be the last word? Plow, baby, plow. Should Mark get the last word? Okay, so I'm scrolling up here. I don't see too much more. Yeah, Jillian likes how I said the vows to be more vowy. And I know autocorrect changed. You wrote vowed. I said vowy. I tell this to the couples. I want your vows to be as vowy as they can be. We don't have a word for this in English. Maybe there's other languages. Spanish, is there a word for vowy? imbued with promises, I suppose would be the more correct way to say it. But yeah, uh, don't worry about the love about section, kind of step what they love about each other if they're writing and reading their own vows, because ultimately the writing and reading the own vows part is about promises, right? And so that is, but autocorrect hates it. So there's no such thing as vow. Mitzi, Mitzi says, Mark almost always has the last word. And then, as though responding to that, seconds later, Mark says, see, vowie, wowie. Should that be the last word, friends? Okay, I'm going to sign off. Happy weekend to all of you. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for being such an amazing community. Again, Mark and Mitzi and Jillian and all the other people that made this so fun today, members of Unboring Wedding Academy. I see Esther's here. During my chemistry check, I make it clear that the love story is my specialty. Haven't had a couple ask not to have it filled out yet. That's amazing. Again, you can be selective about that in the chemistry check. Things happen sometimes, especially to friends or relatives who, say, oh my gosh, Mark, I don't know if I can buy your course or that because it's all mostly about the love story training. And I'm not going to tell the love story, to which I say, oh, it's more than that. It's the whole, the spreadsheet and the workshop. And yes, it's sent in the questionnaire and it's how to write the speech in a perfect way. And then it's how to run the rehearsal and know all your details. But I am happy, like I say, to just share, oh, well, that is not, whether or not you get the course or come inside, it really is about those three sections of your speech, which I'm happy to share. And when one's gone, you still have the love abouts and a really good reflection as somebody who loves this couple really, really well. Okay. Let's see. Ava says, love stories are not forgotten as they are also unique. Often I remember my couples because of their love stories. So well said. Absolutely. Yes. Jillian says, remind us about your retreat. Can you remind me what I'm supposed to remind you of about the retreat? Do I have a retreat coming? Mitzi's saying, Mark is having a retreat? When? Where? How do we sign up? Mitzi, this is news to me, but I'm happy to see the interest in this event that I'm not having. Let's see. I'm going to Costa Rica in May with my family. None of you are invited, so that's not a retreat. Wedding MBA in Vegas in November. I'll be there, and I hope to see many of you there and treat you to dinner. But that is not a retreat. Now there's all kinds of speculation. This is going to be on BuzzFeed soon. Mark's retreat, and I don't know what it is. Jillian, tell me about the retreat that I'm having. I'm really trying. And you're going to remind me, and I'm going to be like, oh, of course. Yeah, so Jillian's not, must be the Celebrant Academy retreat. Guys, honestly, I don't have a retreat. Maybe you're mixing me up with Donna Forsyth. I know Donna. Shout out to Donna. Celebrant Academy, yes, is having a retreat. So there is that. Celebrant Academy, of course, is more. Jillian's like, oops, sorry. Celebrant Academy is more about a lot of life cycle stuff, that kind of thing. And I know part of that much more expensive program. I know Donna well. We see each other at Wedding MBA. That is so much more involved. There's cohorts and multiple live meetings. And of course, I have designed Unboring Wedding Academy to be picked up and learned and purchased and learned in a matter of hours because I don't know when your wedding's coming. And it really is, it's only wedding ceremony oriented, where the Celebrant Academy is much more about the namings and the baptisms, and you become a ninja at all the life cycle things with the Academy. And so, yes, she does have a retreat. Sorry to disappoint. I am not doing that yet, but I have a New Brunswick retreat. Would you come to St. Andrews and stay in the Algonquin, or if we got a giant house in the neighborhood on the water, that would be a lot of fun. My dream came true just last year at Wedding MBA when I got to have all of us at the same table. I got to buy you all dinner to get you there. And that was a dream come true for me. Now, another dream is this wedding officiant software that you've heard me talk about. I am investing in to take away all the spreadsheets and docs and forms and all that. That's going to disappear. You're going to log in and you're just going to move through. I had another meeting this morning, another video from this developer company. What they're creating is amazing. That's another dream come true. My third distant dream come true is a retreat. But how many dreams can one fulfill in such a short time, Jillian? So I will work on it. Maybe that'll be the 2025 dream come true. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to get off here. And I'm just so thrilled to have spent this time with you. See you next week, Wedding Hero Wednesday after this weekend. If you're officiating weddings, all the best to you. Monday, don't look at the sun without glasses. But my goodness, Jane, be ready. It's going to go dark, okay? You heard it here first. And then we will see you on Wednesday for Wedding Hero Wednesday. I'm so thrilled to have spent this time with you. Thanks, everybody. Oh yeah, I was just going to say Jillian gets the last word, but no, Mark says thanks, MAG. Oh, Mitzi. Okay, you guys can compete for the last word. I'm going to head off. Have a great week. Oh, Eva just sends a blank, so she's really in the running. Adrian says thank you. You guys crack me up. Absolutely love it. Have a wonderful weekend. And again, marry on.